What is going on, guys? So today we are back, and today I actually participated in a Jungle Cup. This is going to be the first of 2 Jungle Cups that I plan on participating this month. Today I actually wanted to go over the matches that I ended up playing. It's like extremely hot. Really fast, I do want to go over the team that I used today just to kind of show you guys a little bit of the thought process and reason for running certain Pokemon and possibly changes that I want to make for the next cup. So I will first off show you that I only have 49,000 Stardust. I know that that's possibly a lot to some of you guys. That's insane for me to see, considering that before PvP started I had over 1.1 million, and then in the Boulder Cup I literally I was spending dust to spend it, and I quickly realized that I can't grind dust as quickly as I can spend dust. So ever since then I have really been trying to watch what I spend dust on, and this month was no exception. So of course we're going to start with Vigoroth here. Of course, counter, body slam, the 2 most prominent moves for Vigoroth. I did not buy a second charge move, obviously. Even in all of the team building videos that we did this month, I still don't think that it's completely necessary. Yeah, it helps, but it's not like 100% necessary. So I decided to go without one. Plus the 75,000 Stardust cost was a little expensive for me. Next, I ended up running Fortress today. I really like the idea of having the pretty much like Omni weakness that Fortress actually carries, being only weak to fire. And considering that there's like hardly any fire in the cup, I really like that combo. He did a little bit of work today, not too much. I kind of misused Fortress, I feel like, in a couple of scenarios. So also here, Bug Bite, of course, is pretty standard. I personally went with Rock Tomb. Heavy Slam is okay, and Earthquake is fine, but I really felt like I needed an out to the bug and flying types, and one of the reasons that I had Rock Tomb primarily was because before today, literally today, I caught a Noctowl, and it was the only Noctowl that I had. So before this, I did not have any Pokemon that could utilize flying type moves. I don't have any fast TMs. I have charge TMs. Surprisingly, I just don't have fast TMs, which a couple of months ago, it was the complete opposite for me. So that sucks. But anyways, I needed something to really handle the bug flying and the normal and flying Pokemon. So Rock Tomb just made a lot of sense there. Honestly, after today, I possibly might want to actually go to Heavy Slam, just because speed would probably be a good thing to have on Fortress. I mean, Rock Tomb did okay in the instances that I got to use it. I think the one time that I really felt good about using it, it was shielded, so it didn't even really do that much, but I mean, it did okay. Obviously no second charge move there, 75,000 dust. I just couldn't warrant it. It just was too much. Next I have the Noctowl. So this is actually the Noctowl that I freaking caught. It was this morning, and turns out that I bought the move and I powered it up. I had to power it up like 4 or 5 times. Like, I caught it really close. Turns out it evolved and powered up exactly to 1500, so I was okay with that. The IVs are pretty trash. They're not like high ranked or anything. Way more defense. I mean, with such high base stat in its stamina, I'm not too worried about not having the stamina in my IVs. I think defense is probably okay to have it in, and the attack was pretty low, so I felt pretty okay with that. I evolved it after buying the move and got the exact move set that I wanted, so literally everything just came together like a divine plan or something. So Noctowl definitely worked out. Definitely a great addition to my team. If I would have thought about switching over Fortress earlier, possibly would have done that, but after I got the Noctowl, I was like, okay, this is gonna work, cool deal. Next we have the Lantern. Unfortunately, I really want to go back to Charge Beam this month. I did put on Water Gun for the Rainbow Cup last month, and I really want to run Charge Beam again this month, but I didn't have any fast TMs to change that, so I tried to rock the Water Gun. And in the one match that it would have helped, I tried using it, but my opponent didn't bring out the Pokemon that I was expecting him to, and I never ended up getting to utilize it like I'd hoped. So that was kind of crappy, but I've had this for months, so I didn't really have to spend anything for this, but definitely a sweet addition. I definitely love Lantern, and it was a toss-up between Lantern or Raichu this month, and I ran the numbers before deciding on which one. Lantern just had a more like generalistic spread in its win percentages, so I definitely felt like that was the one to go with. Raichu's just fine as like a specific electric type attacker, but I did feel like Lantern was more of a generalist and I could cover, if I could basically have a team of 3 that covers the absolute most widest range of Pokemon possible, I would feel pretty good about that, so decided to go with Lantern. Next I actually have Beedrill here, and Beedrill was one of the ones that I really wanted to run, especially after Wigglytuff got Charm and became so much more prominent. I felt like a poison type was definitely going to be needed. Before today, before I got the Noctowl, I actually didn't have Noctowl, of course, and I was actually going to run Venomoth in that slot. Unfortunately, it's not a legacy Venomoth, but the entire idea was to run something that would put a ton of poison pressure on the team to where it would kind of psych out the opponent not to use Wigglytuff. And the only person that I ran across today that actually had Wigglytuff, I didn't even see it, so that team wouldn't have worked out either way for me, but that was kind of the original plan. But after I got knocked out, I kind of pulled out, you know, of that like anti-Wigglytuff type team. I still think the anti-Wigglytuff could be very interesting, considering that Wigglytuff is going to be pretty prominent. I think a lot of people are going to put it on teams, whether they end up using it or not. It's still going to appear on teams, kind of like today. So of course I ran Poison Jab, X Scissor, Aerial Ace. Pretty standard moveset there. I generally wanted the poison type move on the fast move to handle the Wigglytuff, and then I tried to go with extra coverage in the charge move areas. I didn't really want to go with a poison type charge move just because it kind of felt redundant. But I mean, either way, it was decent. I don't think it really saw much play today. And last but not least, we do have my faithful Ivysaur, and Vine Whip, Sludge Bomb, Power Whip. That's pretty standard. Nothing too crazy to really say about Ivysaur. So looking at the team of 6 like this, I definitely felt like Ivysaur and Beedrill were going to be the 2 that did really well up against Wigglytuff. And then I had Ivysaur and Vigoroth to kind of go up against the Vigoroth. And then I pretty much only had Lantern to go up against the Noctowl. So I kind of think that was one of the fallbacks to the team, is that I really didn't have enough firepower towards the Noctowl. And I feel like in round 1, that's kind of what ended up, you know, kind of getting to me, because the Noctowl was way stronger than I anticipated it to be. And full disclosure, I've not practiced any. Today were the first games that I've played in the Jungle Cup. As usual, I go into these things blind for some stupid reason. I don't know. And it generally costs me, you know, games in round 1, probably round 2. So that's the general idea of the team. I did basically pick team of 3s just based on whatever my opponent was running. I didn't really have like a team of 3 that I always wanted to run, or a strategy like that, like straight out of the gate. So with that being said, let's actually go ahead and jump in to round 1. So straight away here in round 1, you can see that we are up against Scary 210. He's rocking Wigglytuff, Noctowl, Beedrill, Alolan Graveler, Vigoroth, and Fortress. So kind of close to my team in some regards, but very different in others. Like the Alolan Graveler was definitely a cool pick, and this is the round where I was talking about Lantern hopefully doing some work, but unfortunately it didn't. So I led with Fortress, knowing that there was not going to be any weakness. I felt like that's one of the safest leads in the cup. Up against Vigoroth here, kind of did not so hot. As you can see, he did farm quite a bit of energy there. I decided to just go ahead and take these body slams, maybe thinking that he didn't run Bulldoze or anything like that, and body slam's not going to really like hurt too bad here. So I decided to shield because I wanted to get rid of the Vigoroth and not try to waste any of this energy. I did get the Rock Tomb off here, but unfortunately it gets shielded by the Noctowl, and this is kind of where it goes all downhill because the team of 3 that I go in with, for some stupid reason, I just didn't think that, I don't know, I just was like, oh, Noctowl, no big deal, I can take it out with Fortress, and then when he didn't lead with it, it just didn't dawn on me that I needed to switch to hold the Fortress for the Noctowl if he ran the Noctowl. So, kind of like the first game of the day woes, I guess. Kind of sucks, but is what it is. So definitely pretty much played catch up for the rest of this. As you can see, Noctowl definitely destroyed me there. Going into game 2, I definitely am thinking that I need to have something more for the Noctowl. I don't need to bring in 2 Pokemon that are going to be weak to the Noctowl, of course, but I'm contemplating on what I should be running. Definitely bring in the Lantern here, and I'm thinking, okay, Lantern is going to help me cover not only the Noctowl, but it will help me cover the Alolan Graveler as well. So I led with that, thinking that he was going to possibly try to switch it up, but he ends up leading with the Fortress this time. Okay, now based on how much he actually charges here, I try to farm a little bit of energy. Based on how much he was actually farming there himself, I had a big hunch that it was going to be Earthquake, and I knew that if he was budget at all, he would have been possibly not even like caring to buy a second charge move. So I had it in my mind that he was only running Earthquake. So I switch into Beedrill, and I definitely was a dumb move. That should have been anything other than Beedrill there, because Earthquake is going to be super effective, and I'm not going to do crap for damage up against Fortress because he does have that Steel typing, and Poison is just horrible there. And then we go up against the Noctowl again, so definitely going to have some problems there. Pull out this Lantern, and he ends up switching there, trying to get off my charge move, trying not to die and waste any energy here. He does have the just everything is against me here. He just has the entire leg up. I definitely that right there actually really surprised me. I had a Body Slam charged up, and he got to use both Body Slams before I could even use one, and I was like, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense. But kind of awkward, because I was sitting there tapping, you know, Body Slam like before these new charge move mechanics. I was basically trying to piggyback there, where I could get in an extra charge move or an extra fast move and possibly get off 2 Body Slams in a row if I could, but he got off 2 in a row, and I couldn't even get off 1 like in between. It was like I didn't get the turn after he got his charge move off. I didn't get the turn, or I possibly just threw out a fast move by accident. I don't know. Either way, I totally got demolished there, 2-0'd. So Scary210 is the staff member for the tournament, and he's basically the guy last month that I said was the formidable opponent. So he definitely came this month well prepared, and I definitely sucked it up. So hats off to you, my sir. You did very well. Let's move on to round 2. So here in round 2, he is actually rocking a normal cast form, Leafeon, Illumise, Kangaskhan, Raichu, and Celebi. So out of all those Pokemon, Raichu is really the only like meta relevant one that I should probably be worried about. And first thing that I notice is Celebi, Illumise, and Leafeon are all going to be weak to Noctowl there, so I feel pretty good about bringing in Noctowl. Just in general, I feel like the team comp for my side is a little bit skewed. Without being mean, I'm not trying to be mean, I'm just saying that the meta relevancy between the two teams is definitely on my side, so I'm not too worried about going into game 1 here. So straight into round 2 here. I totally forgot to record. So into round 2, he ends up having a very unique team. Running a normal form cast form is a very unique choice. I knew that it wasn't going to do a whole lot up against Fortress here, so I decided to basically farm out as much energy as I can, throw out a couple of Rock Tombs there, and did pretty good. So he switches into the Raichu, which here again, I don't really have like a huge concern up against the Raichu. I know that I can, you know, hold on to a little bit of health before I end up dying. So I try to at least get to my Rock Tomb before I die there, which does happen. End up switching into the Vigoroth here. I wasn't expecting Brick Break on it, but definitely glad that I shielded because it was an option. So I was like, well, just to be safe. So he ends up bringing in Celebi here, which is a really cool pick. He used Celebi last month. So in the Mirror Cup, whatever we end up deciding to do for this tournament, I definitely have a feeling that if Celebi is available to use in that cup, this guy's gonna be bringing it. So definitely cool. He ends up having pretty much no chance up against the Noctowl though. Noctowl is just gonna do quick work for the Celebi. Next into game 2 here, we do see a lead with Illumise, which is a very interesting pick here again. Going up against the Ivysaur here, I knew based on the animation that it was a bug type move. I couldn't tell you what Illumise has off the top of my head, but I knew I needed to get Ivysaur out of there, so I at least charged up to a full charge move and then pulled out. Switched into the Noctowl knowing that the Illumise would have problems with the flying type damage. He switches into Kangaskhan, which is unfortunately bad for him considering that Kangaskhan only has, what, Mud Slap and Low Kick for fast moves. So either way, he ends up doing resisted damage as fast moves, which I was completely a-okay with. End up just doing some decent neutral damage here with the Sky attacks. End up taking out the Kangaskhan. He brings the Illumise back in, and luckily I'm able to at least get off this charge move before I end up going down here. And you can see the Illumise going down, and then he brings in the Leafeon. So he kind of ran into a similar situation that I did in round 1, where basically he just had 2 Pokemon that were going to be weak to Noctowl, and Noctowl just did a lot of work there. So he then brings in the Leafeon, and luckily my Ivysaur is still pretty healthy. I did have the Sludge Bomb already charged up to go ahead and get rid of that last shield, and Sludge Bomb ends up finishing off the job for the Leafeon there. So round 2, pretty nice. This guy, he's an awesome character. He's a really cool guy. Definitely enjoyed the games that we played today. Don't be so hard on yourself, man. If you ever watch this video, don't be so hard on yourself. It's so fun. It's not about winning. It's about the enjoyment of the game. And considering that you came back this month after last month, definitely shows that you have some sort of enjoyment out of it, or you have at least a passion, which is always great. So last round of the day, we only actually ended up having 5 participants this month, but that ended up meaning that we had a bye. Luckily I didn't get a bye in any of the rounds. I did actually get to play all 3 rounds, which was nice. In the last match though, here we have a very interesting team. So we have Grotle, Executor, Kangaskhan, Venomoth, Electabuzz, and Furret. So a very interesting team there. Very unique. I think I would have went with Linoon instead of Furret, and the Electabuzz is kind of awkward. Possibly would have went with Raichu, but I mean, some very cool, interesting picks here. This was this guy's first tournament. He didn't really know a lot about the processes of getting into the Sylph and you know, going through the motions of how the rounds function, and you know, claiming I won or I lost, or like how to look at your opponent's team and things like that. But it's great that he's a new player and that he's interested in PvP. He did say that he was happy to participate. He did say that he enjoyed his time. I definitely tried to make him feel good about playing. Like, I always made sure to say good game. I told him, you know, good game after both rounds, and I just wanted to make sure that he was having a good time while we were playing. So as you can see here in round 1, we're doing pretty good here. He's down 2 Pokemon now up against my Noctowl. He does have the Electabuzz, which was kind of scary, but if you notice, his Electabuzz was only powered up to like 981 or something like that. So it's not like super, like, I wasn't super scared of it. Yeah, 981 there. So unfortunately, the Noctowl is even too good to go up against the Electabuzz. I don't even remember if he was running an electric fast move, to be honest. I can't remember if Electabuzz has low kick, I want to say, something like that. So we did do a pretty good job in the first round here. Now this second round, I almost feel bad for, because this second round is rough. So you can see he starts with Venomoth here, and of course I had the good lead with Noctowl, so I'm doing quick work here. I'm just trying to farm quite a bit. I know that I'm not going to take a ton of damage from this Venomoth. Even if he had Poison Fang, it wasn't going to really matter. He throws out the Silver Wind, which is a very good move, but Noctowl ends up resisting it here, so I make quick work up against the Venomoth there. And as you can see, the Kangaskhan, one of the problems with Kangaskhan was that it had just 0 outs up against Noctowl. It's a horrible matchup, so I'm in a big situation here. I end up getting him to use both of his shields, and you can see just throwing out sky attacks like a madman, and you can see how little damage the Kangaskhan is actually doing here. So he ends up using Outrage, which is a very unique choice for a charge move there. I end up just farming away on the Kangaskhan, and as soon as he throws out his last Pokemon, unfortunately it was going to be weak to the flying type, so I literally just had everything in my favor that entire match. You can see that one Noctowl, that just goes to show how good the Noctowl was, and the fact that I didn't use it at all in round 1 is probably what cost me the top position today. Noctowl, for whatever stupid reason, I don't know if it was because I haven't had one until this morning, or I don't know, I just completely blanked on Noctowl, and I was like, hey, I won't choose Noctowl. All right. I don't know, I didn't use it correctly at all, and I paid dearly for it. So that is actually it for the tournament. Of course, I will show the very ending here. The tournament organizer, Scary210, such a cool guy. He actually ended up giving badges to second place. I don't know if he only bought 2 from, you know, the pre-orders and stuff, and he planned to give one to first place and give one to second place, but considering that myself and the guy that I went up against in round 2, he ended up giving both Jungle Cup badges to myself and the other guy, which we were technically tied for second. I had a higher tiebreaker point, so however you want to look at it, we were both tied for second.
Alright guys, I gotta see what kind of conclusions we got, and if it's all the same, I'd like to give second place, whether it's tied or not, badge regardless. Everybody came out and put up a good enough effort, man. Yeah. So let me see. I gotta go back here.
That's what I'm seeing so far.
Yeah. We're all done. This one, refresh. We are all done. And our runners. Let's see.
Of course.
Alright, so looks like Darth Titanic and Atticus tied for second place. And
I feel good.
there's you.
Thank you, man.
And there's you.
Kobe.
Everybody definitely felt good today. We were one person down from what we had last month, but technically 2 people didn't show up, and we added a new person. So that's at least quite a few people in the town that are pretty interested in PvP. And I mean, I will say that the guy is working hard in the Discord server to get people interested. I mean, as soon as the cups are announced, he's putting it in the Discord, he's talking it up. There's quite a few people, even if they're not interested in PvP, they're at least acknowledging that it's there. There are quite a few people, like today after he won, I went into the Discord and I was like, hey everyone, like help let's congratulate Scare210 because he ended up winning today. He didn't lose a single round all tournament, and there were a ton of people that were like, dude, congrats, like that's awesome. Like it was just really cool. Like, so there's a ton of people that at least acknowledge PvP, and hopefully these new mechanics could bring in some new people. I mean, I feel like it's in a step in the right direction, but I don't know if it's just the core concept of PvP that people are just afraid of. I don't know, but the fact that we at least had one new guy is great. The fact that we were down 2 people from last month. If you guys remember last month, we had that the younger girl, the adolescent, I don't know how old she is, so I don't want to say like, oh, she was around 5. The younger girl, she wasn't there. He said that she was headed on vacation with his sister, I believe is who it was. So she would have been there. So that would have been another 6. That would have been the 6th slot. But I don't know what happened to the other guy. And there was somebody that was actually registered for the tournament who just didn't show up. And there was a guy that was interested who never showed up either. And I mean, he was, you know, spouting it out in Discord, you know, an hour before the tournament started. I don't know if it's like time slot that people have a problem with. I don't know if it's day of the week, but I mean, it's earlier in the day. It's 11 a.m. whenever we do the tournament, but I enjoy that actually. I don't think that's a bad thing. I wouldn't mind if we did it later in the day. It's whatever, but I don't know. It was weird. Definitely weird. But anyways, definitely a fun experience, and that's honestly what I was trying to take away from today. So without trying to sound like a complete douche and a narcissist, today my entire plan, because I knew that it was very unlikely to hit 8 people, I knew that I wanted to go into today for the practice without trying to put down the community that I participated with today. I knew since there wasn't going to be 8 people, it wasn't going to be ranked, so I didn't have to worry about dropping any matches or anything like that. So I definitely went in just to practice for next week. So next Sunday, I don't remember the exact date, but we are definitely going to go to our normal spot. And what's cool is there's an additional cup being held in a town even closer than where I typically go on Sunday. Unfortunately, I had already made plans to go to where I went today. The new tournament that I've never participated in, the community there is actually the raiding community that I go to. It's, you know, roughly 30 minutes away for people who keep up with that. Unfortunately, it was scheduled for today, and I already made plans to go where we went today. So definitely want to try out that just because it'll be different. It'll be nice. I'm really enjoying just going somewhere different lately. I don't know, it's my personality. I hate doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over. So I definitely enjoyed the fact that I've got to play some different cups with some different people for the past 2 months. That's awesome. I am excited to actually go back to where I typically go next week, just because it's been 2 months since I've been there. Last month I had quite a few people that were like, hey, you know, where are you at? Where you been? And I was like, I can't make it today. You know, that whole June story. So anyways, today was definitely a success in what I planned to do. I didn't necessarily go to win. I just went to get some practice for next week, which shows that I definitely need to utilize Noctowl a lot better, and possibly even switch up the team a little bit. Since Community Day is tomorrow and there are some Stardust rewards, possibly I can get some decent stuff, but I don't know. We will see. But anyways, that is actually going to be it for today, guys. Thanks so much for hanging out. Thanks so much for watching. As always, I love doing these little, you know, shelf side. I don't know what you'd really call this. I mean, it's my shelf, but the shelf side talks with Atticus. So yeah, what's up? So that's actually going to be it. Thank you guys so much. Thanks so much for hanging out. Thanks so much for watching. And I guess I'll just roll the credits. thank you guys so much for watching. Always remember that if you like to like videos, you could do that, but if you don't, you could be that guy. Otherwise, let me know what you have to say down in the comments below about the video. I do highly appreciate you guys watching. If you guys want to support me in any way, there are several links down in the description for Patreon, joining the community here on YouTube, or even just directly PayPal if that's your thing. I greatly appreciate everyone's name that's on screen, as you guys have showed some sort of support outside of just viewing the videos, and I thank you guys. You don't understand from the bottom of my heart. So until our next video, guys, I will catch you then.